deserves and take the necessary steps to prioritize the well-being of their student athletes, ensuring that opportunities for success are not blocked by unnecessary red tape. Asuna left his whole life in Tampa to come to Knoxville and play for Coach Tony Vitello and the Vols. The NCAA needs to do the right thing. Free Berto, give him the time he deserves. The Vols are stacked again this year, Mr. Speaker. They're coming off a national championship. They're winning again. It's not imperative that he gets on the team for them to win. It's just the right thing. NCAA, do the right thing.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Ohio seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the extraordinary life of Gwen Robinson, a dear friend of mine, an incredible leader, an incredible human being. She was one of the first people I met when I got to Cincinnati, and she welcomed me in the way she did with almost everyone, immediately kind and immediately generous. There's a real argument to be made that much of what I've accomplished, what so many of us accomplished in Southwest Ohio, wouldn't have happened without her. She fought so hard for the children in the Bond Hill Head Start program that she helped lead, making sure each one of them had the highest quality preschool. It was part of what convinced me that every child in Cincinnati deserved 2 years of quality preschool. And when we said we wanted to do that, she was there every step of the way. She poured everything into helping us get the preschool promise passed. She did the same with the public transit levy a few years later. There aren't enough words to capture her impact. Gwen was a giant and will be missed by all of us. Thank you, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition?
A minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, here's some truth. Despite many false claims, the continuing resolution we just passed does not cut Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, or veterans benefits, or any health care benefits at all. In reality, the CR was almost entirely the Democrats' budget bill last year. So the opposition today and their vote to shut down the government is a little perplexing. Mr. Speaker, here's what this bill actually offers. It gives our troops a 10% raise, provides $6 billion for veterans health care, invest $7.6 billion into WIC for women and infants, $425 million for food delivery programs for seniors, among other things. And Mr. Speaker, we're paying for it responsibly. We're repurposing $20 billion in excess funding from the attempt to increase the IRS by $80 billion last year. And we're redirecting $10 billion from the Commerce Department slush fund, funds that were not used and need to be repurposed. This CR sets the stage for a plan for a new golden era for our country, and I was pleased to support it. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Illinois seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to honor Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago on their 50th anniversary and to recognize the enduring legacy of Gail Sankata, a fearless leader for housing justice. Gail understood that owning a home was not just about having a place to live, it was about stability, opportunity, and the chance to build a future, a better future. She took on fighting the banks against redlining and was a champion of the Community Reinvestment Act and never backed down in her pursuit of fairness for working families. During the early 1980s, I had the privilege of working at NHS to see how access to affordable housing could change lives. I saw struggling families become thriving homeowners. I saw struggling neighborhoods revitalized into thriving communities. NHS has shaped many lives. It certainly played a pivotal role early in my own formation. Our work is far from over. Families are still being priced out. Displacement and gentrification are still impacting families, and the access to these programs is under attack. So today, we celebrate NHS on 50 incredible years. guy who was recently married. He already has 2 children. And he was all happy because he was buying a new house. He had to save up money for a down payment to do it. The thing I noticed, though, is that during the 2 or 3 years that it took to save for the down payment, he had to live with his in-laws, which was fine because he had a strong family, and that's the way it took to buy the house. It bothered me knowing that in other places in this country, people are just given housing. They don't have to live with their in-laws. And in essence, the government is treating them better than this example of a guy who was married and spent a couple of years with his parents. So I hope in the future that this Congress changes the rules so we no longer benefit or raise this guy's taxes to set up someone for their own house immediately. Thank you.
For what purposes the gentlewoman from California seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, colleagues. The power of the purse belongs to Congress, not to the president. And this has nothing to do with our current president, Donald Trump. This is in the Constitution, and it's clear as day, and it's been affirmed over and over again by the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, our colleagues on the other side of the aisle want to have it both ways. They want to let Elon Musk, an unelected billionaire, wreck our government with illegal cuts, but they seem to lack the courage of their convictions to actually vote on these cuts. They lack that courage because they know how toxic these cuts are. Deep cuts to healthcare, cuts to childcare, cuts that help the most vulnerable amongst us. They won't even allow a vote on my amendment, when all it would do is to force the president to follow the Constitution. I am here with a simple request from our Republican colleagues. Abide by your oath. Stand up for the Constitution. Allow a vote on this amendment. Stand up for your own constituents and stand up for your own constitutional authority. That is what we are elected to do. That is why we are here. It is one of the main reasons we are here. Do not give our authority as Congress away to an unelected bureaucrat. Thank you.
I think that needs to be heard again.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, colleagues. The power of the purse belongs to Congress, not to the president. And this has nothing to do with our current president, Donald Trump. This is in the Constitution, and it's clear as day, and it's been affirmed over and over again by the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, our colleagues on the other side of the aisle want to have it both ways. They want to let Elon Musk, an unelected billionaire, wreck our government with illegal cuts, but they seem to lack the courage of their convictions to actually vote on these cuts. They lack that courage because they know how toxic these cuts are. Deep cuts to healthcare, cuts to childcare, cuts that help the most vulnerable amongst us. They won't even allow a vote on my amendment, when all it would do is to force the president to follow the Constitution. I am here with a simple request from our Republican colleagues. Abide by your oath. Stand up for the Constitution. Allow a vote on this amendment. Stand up for your own constituents and stand up for your own constitutional authority. That is what we are elected to do. That is why we are here. It is one of the main reasons we are here. Do not give our authority as Congress away to an unelected bureaucrat. Thank you.
For what purpose does the gentleman from North Carolina seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I seek unanimous consent to address the House chamber.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to honor the great people of Youngsville, North Carolina, ahead of their 150th anniversary on celebration of March 17th. Originally a railroad town and a community along U.S. Highway 1, Youngsville played a pivotal role
in the growth of North Carolina's agricultural and rail industries, and in turn help develop the economy of our state and our region together. Today, Youngsville mirrors her residents. It is a vibrant, a proudly patriotic community with robust growth across the board. And yet somehow, despite this growth, Youngsville has retained its character and heart while reimagining its downtown to meet the demands of an active community. It is no wonder that young families from across North Carolina and the region have flocked to this area. As its residents know, Youngsville is a truly special place and a treasure for the great state of North Carolina. Congratulations on this anniversary, and I wish you all the best in the next 150 years. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from New York seek recognition?
Revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hazel Dukes was a lifelong champion for families and children in New York and across the country. Through her decades of civil rights activism, including as president of the NAACP, Dr. Dukes fought tirelessly to build a more perfect union. Dr. Dukes broke barriers as the first Black American to work for the Nassau County District Attorney's Office, where she stood up for Long Island communities that had been long ignored or underserved. As we mourn her tremendous loss, we take comfort in the fact that Dr. Dukes' legacy will continue to live on in those that she mentored and the countless Americans who have been impacted by her life's work. May she rest in peace. With that, I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Minnesota seek recognition?
Vote for our national security. I would hope that everyone would vote for that, vote for the continuing our government, and to make sure that these weapon systems are delivered on time for the American public. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from Oklahoma is reserves, and the gentlewoman from Connecticut is recognized.
Let's have the 1 month CR that's been introduced as an alternative and do the business of the House and pass appropriations bills. I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from Florida, the distinguished ranking member of the State and Foreign Operations Subcommittee, Ms. Frankel.
The gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you why I'm voting against this bill. It doesn't lower any of my constituents' costs. Instead, it gives the Trump administration free rein to continue its chaotic, lawless dismantling of U.S. influence in the world, gutting nearly all our humanitarian development, security, and global health programs that constitute less than 1% of our federal budget. And these are not serious cost-saving measures. Instead, they make us less safe, less prosperous, less healthy. Counterterrorism programs halted, contracts with American farmers canceled, and children are left wasting away. Bird flu, Ebola, and HIV spreading, education programs ending, all done without any thought or any reason. And the vacuum's left for China, Russia, and extremists to fill. We should not be handing this president a blank check to continue his harmful sledgehammer approach to how we spend taxpayer money. I urge a resounding no vote on this bill.
Gentlelady from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentlelady Connecticut is recognized.
I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Illinois, a member of the Appropriations Committee, Mr. Quigley.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, there's a national shortage of more than 7 million units of affordable housing across America and more than 771,000 people experiencing homelessness. The CR does nothing to lower the cost of housing. That's what I was going to talk about for my 2 minutes, but after listening to this debate for so long, I think the significant correction has to be made. Programs are not fully funded and protected if you gut the agencies that operate them. Programs are not fully funded and protected if there's no one there to operate them. Under President Trump, spending bills have become a farce. He's not following the previous spending bills law that we passed. Are we saying, well, this time we really mean it? This time the president really promises he's going to follow the law. That we don't get to the point where Article 1 is optional. Our constituents are asking us, however great you say this bill is, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, they're going to blame us because we believed you this time. And we believed the president, who when he gets in the room with the truth, a fight breaks out. As we've seen time again in the last month.
Gets in the room with the truth and a fight breaks out. Oh my goodness. Poor Elon Marco. Marco Rubio allows the President of the United States to use the same slanderous remark he used in 2016 during the presidential debates for the Republican nomination for president for the year 2016, called it Little Marco. Well, he's grown up Marco now, since he's kissed the ring, and here we have it. Marco. That's what President Trump calls Marco Rubio. Not Mark Rubio, but Marco. Here around me, I couldn't get away with that. I wouldn't be able to get away with it. Gotta go over here. Turn this off.